Well, the 12th man is such an integral part of Texas A&M football, and there's a 12th man statue near Kyle Field. Yesterday, about 350 or so student athletes, coaches, personnel were there. The idea of several African-American Aggie students. Coach Jimbo Fisher was one there as well, wearing a Black Unity T-shirt. And the players started and finished at that 12th man statue, and then some spoke. And Jimbo Fisher joins us now from College Station, Texas. How'd that all come about yesterday, Coach?
Well, in our athletic department, our student athletes had a group, and they wanted to not. We talked in football. Do we want to have a walk? Do we not? And they wanted to encompass all the student athletes from the university, not just the football, which I think was tremendous. And they put it together, did a really nice job with it. Very well organized and very good messages, and of course, for a tremendous cause.
Of course, the conversation has been a lot about education, learning, listening. How much of that has been a part of the last couple of weeks with your team?
Tremendous amount. And even as a coach who have dealt with black athletes, black players for 30 years of coaching, you still, as you learn, because as they truly open up about all the different situations, and you've heard a lot of stories at different times over the years, but still, when they really get down to heart into different things that happen to their families, happen to them, it's an extremely educational process right now. And like I say, then we're trying to show support and also trying to help come up with ideas that can make significant change in the future.
Yeah, your time, whether it's LSU, Florida State, you've been national championship coordinator, national championship head coach in 03 and 13. You've been in a lot of living rooms. You've been with a lot of families. So you have seen a lot of the conversations that are going on firsthand. Even for you, have there been things that you've learned over the last couple of weeks that you hadn't heard expressed in this way before?
Most definitely, because as a coach, sometimes you hear all the stories, or you see stories around your athletes that have to do with athletics, and you hear off and on of stories that happen away from when they're away from you out in society. But then I think it's just been the time and the movement that is going on right now is allowing kids to feel freer to really open up about everything, all the little details. So, there is so many things that just, you say, wow. And you're there to be supportive, and always felt like we have been, but at the same time, it's an extremely educational process. And like you say, what you want to try to do is make sure that you can help create change, apply change, and make sure change is happening in the future.
Coach, I was interviewed by our colleagues, for me at least, at NBC News last night about a story regarding sports and the voices that we're hearing in sports. And as I was asked questions, I was able to share with them that, we've had protests forever in sports. Go back to Jesse Owens, the Mexico City protests, obviously, Muhammad Ali. It feels like athletes are using social media to find their individual voices more now than ever before. You've recruited people for 20, 25 years, white and black. Do you see that this generation's athlete is using his and her voice to a different volume now?
Tremendous. That's what I said. The way you recruit and the things you do now compared not just 25 years ago, compared to even 5 or 6 years ago. The ability to communicate throughout our world and for people to get their stories and situations heard is totally different. And it's a totally different person. It's a more, I'm not going to say individualistic person, but one who can, express himself in so many different ways and so many avenues, and has the outlets to be able to do that. So recruiting and communication has changed drastically.
Let's flip the conversation page here for a minute and discuss getting your football team back on campus a little bit. These voluntary workouts that the NCAA allowed starting to happen a little bit. We saw by the number of players involved that you're getting players back on campus. Take us through where you guys are in trying to restart a conditioning phase for Texas A&M.
Well, what you say, it's all voluntary. It's all on their choices, which most guys want to do. And and you've had a few kids that want to stay home, which I understand. That's, what we try to say is just, this thing is going to let loose and get to mandatory times when we think football's coming up. So do the best you can do in the safest environment you can do it in to be able to get in the best shape of your life. I don't think with Corona, I don't think there's any way to protect people from everything. No matter if, whether you go to the store, you go to a restaurant, you go wherever, you can come in contact, but you have to just keep the safe measures, wear your mask, keep things as with the 6 foot social distancing and all the things that go on. And so what we're trying to do then is provide, you give them a workout, they go do it on their own, try to, monitor each other, and we try to do it in limited numbers so there's even spacing. Like there's only so many people allowed in a weight room at a time, so many people allowed wherever they go at a time, so you can keep the social distancing rules and what goes on, and then hope that they work their tails off, because when it comes back, that's the one thing you do worry about. It's not, you got to be safe with the social distancing, but I don't think nothing is foolproof. Mm-hmm. I don't care where it's at, whether you're in society or here. But the thing about it is we got to monitor. The thing here, you have great medical facilities. You have great people that you can constantly, temperature checks, symptom checks with doctors and things that we think would create as safe environment as you can. But, guys are going to become, and the thing we're finding out is there's so many asymptomatic guys that, are around guys. And good thing, the testing that we're able to provide testing for them so they can find that out, and we can quarantine guys until they're, we don't feel they're contagious and the things that go on. But our guys are working hard. I think the guys want to be back. They're looking forward to be back, but they're trying to do it in a safe environment.
For some of the coaches, not having a returning quarterback is going to be part of the conversation of what you miss not having a full spring and not having leadership and things like that develop. You've got Kellen Mond there, your quarterback. So how impactful will it be for what you guys want to do on the offensive side of the ball to know that there's somebody coming back who's been there and done it already?
I mean, has done it, as I say, under fire in games and been very successful, tremendous. And he's that way. And I think it's going to have a huge effect. I mean, you think about his play, but I think the play around him and the ability for him to talk to teammates, lead teammates, because a quarterback, when he takes over, you say, okay, he's the leader of your team. Until they can prove themselves, it's hard to really be a leader because you're so worried about, can I do my job? Well, we know Kellen can perform and play great football. So he's allowing himself, and that's allowing us, he can use himself to be a leader to the other guys and the other new position guys that are coming into our offense and the things that go on. But having him is a huge, huge advantage. There's no doubt. And like I say, he's working his tail off, and, just a tremendously high character quality young man.
Championship football, like I said before. The A&M deal is one of the most unique ones to me because you have Texas and the battle in state and all that stuff, yet you're in the SEC, and it's such a huge, powerful football program. After 3 years there, can you give me the lay of the land of what this job is like? What's the unique challenge, I should say, of this job at College Station with Texas A&M?
I think one thing, the branding of what we have to do, because they stayed in the state of Texas, which is, as good a state as there is in this country for football. And we're trying to get all the players in Texas that we can possibly get, but at the same time, nationally branding it, because I think we're in such a global world now that young men go everywhere. And when you really research Texas A&M, when you get down to it's a top 20 school educationally, got an unbelievable culture and environment here, the facilities and the support you get from your athletic department in your school for athletics, and then you have the largest or one of the two largest alumni groups, former students in the country, and the job market with have an endowment of $13.5 billion. There is so much here that people didn't realize. And I think the branding of ourselves nationally, along with being in a tremendous state that we can get great players, and then proving yourself that you can go win in the SEC. And our first year we were second in the West. Last year we were 8-5, had a very tough schedule, but at the time had a young team. But at the same time, we're in a lot of those games. We feel very confident. We've had two good recruiting classes, and it's a fight for players here. Not only with Texas, Oklahoma and all those schools, Baylor and all the in-state schools that go in, Texas and whoever. But now that the other conferences, like I say, it's such a global world, players go everywhere. So you're having the people come to where there's large groups of players. So establishing that, and I think now that we can start to establish, I think in the future, I think we can have some really good football teams. And you start getting in the title hunt each and every year, I think this place has a chance to really explode and be a tremendous program.
And when we connected virtually here right before the break, I said, at some point, you may get back to actually coaching ball. It's been interesting, I'm sure, for the head coaches, and Brian Kelly, we talked about this a couple of days ago, that everything that's been going on, the coronavirus, now everything that's going on with the protest, it's been so much getting your team and the mentality and the conversations. It's been away from the main part of the job. I'm sure at some point you look forward to getting into the football coaching part of this thing.
There's no doubt. And I mean, the Zoom calls in which we allow, 8 hours a week with our players is very good. And your assistants do it, and I've been on some. But at the same time, as a head coach, you're having to work on other things because of the different pandemics and the movement in the Black Lives Matter and the different things. Because a lot of these kids right now, football, they do it, but it's not always on the forefront of their mind. And I totally understand that. And we're in different times, and like to say, it's a very educational time for me in learning and how to coach people, to work with people, and to get people back to the same page. Because normal is going to come very soon, or what we have to do. And but you have to be very respectful of all the different things that are going on. And, but it is fun when we do get to talk ball. And what's funny, when the kids get to doing a lot of them, you see the smile on their face, and they're eager because they realize, about how much they really missed it when they were out.
Yeah, you can have that back with the other stuff too. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, and that blend is going to be, I think, a real story in college football this season. Hopefully we have a season that keeps moving in that direction. Jimbo, good to catch up. It's been too long. All the best to you down there in College Station.
Great too, Mike. Thank you very much. You have a great day, buddy.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.